It went from 20 grand a month to like $9.
5 cents a month.
You gotta go with what's cheapest, right? That's economics. That's business, baby.
That's the new. Is that the new business plan?
100%.
It's funny when you look across like all of the node stats in Cosmos, and everyone's always bitching. They're like, "Don't use fucking Hetzner. It's against their policy." La la la. And then you just look at the node stats, and it's just fucking Hetzner.
Hello and welcome to Game of Nodes, weekly podcast on things by independent validator teams. And yeah, I mean, well, so okay, right. It's obviously we were talking about Hetzner in the pre-chat.
You should change that introduction now to just like the weekly podcast on MISC
stuff. MISC.
I think it's very important that we gradually slide away from any coherent introduction. You know, like it needs to be a very gradual,
a slow march into nonsenseness.
I mean, yeah. I mean, isn't that literally the market we find ourselves in? Like you go in all bright-eyed and
bushy-tailed,
like inspired and like hopeful, and you know, with a slightly elevated appetite for risk. And you know, it's good. You know, it's fine.
We've been back in the bear for 12 hours, so fuck
have
it.
we?
Yeah, fuck it.
12. Were we ever in a bull?
A couple days.
Really? All right.
Isn't
it only a bull when it's 2 successive quarters? Isn't that like the definition?
Has it been 2 successive quarters? It's been at least 1 quarter, hasn't it?
Has it?
We don't look at long-term trends here. We look at daily trends.
By the hour.
We fall in and out of bears by the hour.
Yes, of course. I forget that we are dealing with a quite volatile asset.
Great. Crypto is amazing.
It's a something. It's a something.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's one of those
been a shit show lately, though.
So, on the Hetzner thing, though,
yeah.
It's actually not against their terms and conditions.
It is.
No, it's not. Mining.
It's not. Mining is, yeah.
They've
started making it more specific, yeah.
Oh, before it used to be.
Well,
I don't remember the exact text. It was mining, but then they defined mining as any proof of stake node. So unless they change that, that's how it used to be defined.
I think they did, and a couple other providers have as well. Like we just went to go verify with one of LeaseWeb's many subsidiaries, and they're like, "You're super awesome with crypto if you're doing proof of stake. If you're doing mining, you can shove right off.
You can get out.
You can get out." Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I definitely. When we first signed up with OVH, we talked to our guy there, and we're like, "We're a validator on proof of stake," and he's like, "We don't care."
But Hetzner kicked all the Solana validators off. Like that's like what, a year ago?
I think there's.
I'm pretty sure it is against the terms on Hetzner.
That's proof of stake, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they just want the ability to remove it. Like maybe if it's like they want the right to be able to remove those nodes, even though they might not take action on it. That's what I always assumed that they would do.
Well, they won't even take. They won't even take business from my company because it's got a fucking blockchain in the name that has went nope.
Right.
Yeah, well,
I was like, why can't I make an account, sir? And they're like, we refuse to comment. You just can't.
We saw your show.
We know you fucking Australian guy. Yeah. So anyway, I've been, I don't want to say discriminated against, but that's how it feels.
It's not discrimination because you chose a dumb company name.
Crypto validator is not a protected class.
Yeah.
Next time I'm making a company name to do with something that people might not like, I'm going to call it something like
boring.
Fluffy Beanbags Incorporated.
Boring.
Inc.
You know, honestly, next company name, like, because when I started this, we were a consultancy, obviously, not doing anything in crypto, but I inadvertently followed the crypto naming convention, right? Which is you take a concept from the last science fiction book you read, and then you take labs. Bam, there you go. That's it. You just grab something, labs, hey, you're done. Right? Next time I would call it like fucking ABC and then a street name. Like ABC Hardman Limited. It would just be like a complete Hardman is the name of a square in Hardman Square is in Liverpool, I think. That was a little Easter egg for some of our viewers who I know are in the north of England and might know.
I wonder if
there's
I
actually a Hardman Square in Leeds, I think, as well. Sorry.
Do you think you could register 0x company?
Maybe.
Could you have a zero in
My
your name?
name definitely
Yeah.
Shack
Yeah, you can
5
have zero.
because everyone.
Yeah, but then
I've received so much mail about like lavender because that's in my company name, and so I'll receive stuff for like the state will send me stuff about farming. I'll get solicitors for like beekeepers. Like it's all this weird stuff that I really enjoy receiving because I'm like, what? But
0x, do not do that. Your problem is that your company's called Big Balls Blockchain, and you want to be called 0x Legend. You're still not going to get a fucking Hetzner account.
0x.
You need to be called ABC Hardman, which
They
now I think about it, sounds
Hetzner
very like a
would-
Hideo Kojima villain, but you know,
There's no way Hetzner are putting that together. Like 0x? That's weird. Okay. Fucking stamp.
I don't think they care.
ABC Die Hardman.
I bet you should try again. You should see if they will reject it now.
Go
based on
back
what-
in.
what
I've tried a
folks have said.
couple of times, but not for like a year or so.
Yeah.
They're just like, no, thank you, sir. Fuck off.
Allminers.com.
And we're not telling you why. We don't have to.
Proofofwork.com
.com-ish.
POW.
/ burning out hard drives.
Burning CPUs.
That's the one. Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, so we had a couple of servers that we had on I thought they were like on a 6-month contract. It turns out they're on a 12-month contract. And you know, when you go and do a server audit like a week after the renewal has gone through, and then you find that out, you're like, can't believe we just did that. I was talking to somebody the other day who needed some boxes for just something, and I was just like, "Oh shit, shit! You know what? We've got a couple that they're literally going to be doing nothing for the next 8 months. Go ahead." And I was so enthusiastic about, you know, hey, yeah, you can just use these boxes. That I think they genuinely thought that there must be like, I mean, my only ulterior motive is that yeah, somebody may as well get some value out of them, right? We're not using them, and they're not powerful enough for Aptos. And I think I was so enthusiastic to offer free web service to this guy that I think I freaked him out a little bit, and he was just like, "Okay, cool, man. Yeah, I'll let you know." And then
It's cool. Yeah. It's like, yeah, everybody on the net does it for free, but okay, we'll take it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever. I'm just trying to be helpful. It's like we've fucking paid for these for the next 8 months. Like, you need them for like a couple of weeks. Yeah, be my guest. Like, thrash the CPUs.
Speaking of Aptos, I was just looking at the Explorer because you guys were talking about getting some stuff unbonded, and I didn't realize that the actual uptime percentage of the overall set, I think, has really gone down. Like, there's a lot of 99s. Actually, the only people that have 100% uptime are the people on this call. I think is basically everybody.
Is that true?
And Polkachu and Stakely. Stakely does a good job. Like, they also do labs, and they're a good operator. Like, he and I are like right next to each other in terms of like we basically like we're 100% tied. And then everybody else, Staking Cabin and everybody, Beware. Occasionally, like they're 100% right now, but I've seen them in the 99s all the time. And Lavender's usually 100, and Polkachu's usually right around there, and that's it.
Is this all
is
about
99.
networking or location? Because I know some of the APAC folks like just seem to have endless trouble.
No, well,
peers
I
and
mean,
shit.
No, I mean Dublin and London and
Doesn't seem like it's a networking thing.
Raynham, Netherlands, Dublin, Montreal, Tokyo has 100% that state encampment. There,
I'll tell you
Tokyo.
what I have noticed. We're proposing more since we migrated to new hardware.
Yeah, actually, I think we are too. I don't know why exactly.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's one of those where like I would like to understand why this. Maybe well, I guess because the migration has been rolling. I think there's only like 80%. I think now are migrated. So maybe it's simply that you're just proposing more often because the node checks out as more healthy on average on some kind of time weighted scale. But that's not how the leader election works.
That's
so I
not
don't-
right. Yeah,
it's
and you
all
would
it's
think
all network bound, is my understanding. Like the commitment of the time window and the gossiping, which will come in quorum store, I guess has like a CPU component. But my understanding
Yeah.
of the networking bit is entirely like, it's a leader election for a healthy node. They're all healthy
Yeah,
nodes. 99% is healthy,
and that, I mean, these are I mean, you have to miss 3 props in a row, right? And you get kicked out of being you get kicked out of either signing or being available to propose, right? And but I haven't. I mean, these numbers are. I mean, they're all 99.9 something, right? They're not like awful. They're not. I mean, there's some in here that are pretty shit. But for the most part, they're not. I mean, they're not terrible. But yeah, I've also seen it. Like, actually, I can go look at the stats. But I think we're up like maybe 4 or 5, 6% since we moved to new hardware. Like overall, something like that.
That sounds similar.
Makes sense to me.
Number. So another really interesting, like what we're talking about, missing proposals, I guess in Aptos land, but in Cosmos, I've been pulling a bunch of data over the last few days for voting power.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed was on a number of different chains, this could be because of the timeout window, obviously. But when I was pulling block height data for specific networks, the number of networks where not every validator is signing every block, and like they're just absent, like as in, I'd check one block, I'd check the block after, I'd check the block after that. And out of a val set of 150, let's say, there are 146 actual entries in the block height metadata. So like actual signatures, like rather than complete absences. I mean, I guess like implicitly the absence must be a nil. I'd actually have to look at the implementation but I assume the absence is a nil vote, right? If you hit the timeout window and literally nothing has arrived from you, so you are Byzantine, so you're down.
You missed the pre-commit and you missed the vote.
Actually,
right?
no, that's a good point. I don't think it is a nil vote, because a nil vote is I'm present and I've nil voted for some reason. Whereas,
is that a thing?
Yeah. So so it's valid to not vote for the current block because of a reason in the state machine.
Okay.
But you might be completely absent from the voting rounds, which is if
like
you're
the validator's
absent,
down.
you're down. Yeah.
Yeah,
So like I could nil vote, but I would
That's a straight miss, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I could nil vote and say I'm not voting for any of these, and as long as the block is committed, my understanding is I would nil vote, and I need to include my my unique identifier from the uptime window, whenever that is, like 13 hours ago, saying, by the way, I'm going to continue being up. I have been up in the past. I know this unique number. I continue being up. But you can nil vote on the block, which I think is just that you again, I have to look it up. I think you just don't pass judgment on the block, and you're not counted as part of the 66.7%. Maybe somebody else who's more familiar with Tendermint could confirm that. But
so back to why were you pulling these stats? Like, what are you looking at?
Centralization. Ultimately, it will be over time. I'll pull it. I'll run the script a few more times. I'll pull the. I'll run the script a few more times in the future and just see whether there is any change. What was interesting though is that even so, in order just to have like a really friendly thing to look at, I screenshotted MintScan before I started, and in the time between screenshotting MintScan and then just actually just downloading a bunch of binaries, building them on a machine, and then making a bunch of RPC calls to collect some data, some of the validator shifts sets actually shifted reasonably substantially in voting power. So I think there's two things going on. I think the mint scan UI is actually time weighted. So when it says like this validator has X percentage, it's from a cache. It's either from a cache, like, or an indexer, or it's time weighted, because obviously it shifts a lot just block to block with new people writing auto compounders, blah, 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 blah. So just the number you see in the UI is, my understanding is the number you see in the UI is correct, but say their voting power is actually either from a cache or it's time weighted. Because I saw like a top 5 validator on one chain have a redelegation of like 500k tokens, something like that, in like a 30-minute window between me taking the screenshot and running the, as in, so I pulled the data and I saw the state of the top 5 and I was like, oh, I've pulled this data wrong, because this number is like a million different or something.
Were you pulling it off but that could be mint scan caching. Like they might be only checking that VP power every 6 hours or something, right? It's just, they don't give a shit, right?
So mint scan is
I'm sure they're indexing that and just doing whatever, right?
Yeah, I think it's either caching or they're sort of weighting it over time to say, okay, in the last few hours, this has been their average weight, in case there are changes or something like that. Or maybe it's just a straight cache bust issue. I checked back a few hours later and it appeared to have trended downwards for that voting power, and the other validator trended upwards. But I still had like I still had, I think, 1 or 2 percentage points once I'd done the math difference, which 1 or 2 percentage points of voting power when your voting power is already over 10%. It's not the end of the world, but it is a difference. And I was like, that's interesting, because looking at the looking at the data I'm pulling off the chain live and looking at their UI, the number, if you look at the validator's actual page, which shows the block misses, the number that they were reporting at a block height and the number that I was seeing was essentially the same. A couple of tokens out here and there because the page was refreshing, right? So it wasn't exactly the same block because of the nature of it, but it's close enough. But we were coming up with a different number for the actual voting power percentage. So I don't know. There's something going on there. I don't know if that's I don't know if there's something that is, because I guess I'm looking at a single block, right? So the voting power on that block is whoever is current. Is it whoever's currently non-Byzantine? No, it's the total weight of stake, isn't it? It's the total weight of stake, including Byzantine, isn't it?
It's too much this early in the show.
So say I've got 150 validators, right? And 2 of them missing, which was a pattern I saw very often. Like 2 to 5 were missing on a given block because they're down or maintenance or whatever.
Yeah.
Those, if you add together all the delegation shares from all those validators, you can't arrive at a number. But that number is going to be lower than the total staked.
Yeah.
Because you have to include the validators that are currently absent or ostensibly.
Yeah, I mean, they would be part of the non-voting piece, right? That's how you get. That's
maybe that's the 1%, 2% difference that I saw. Probably is. I should check that.
No, I mean,
I should check that before I like say to anybody, by the way, this is like some definitive data, shouldn't I?
But still, I don't know if I'm following, because those validators are not voting for that block. Their VP is still counted because it would be part of the down stake, or if 33% are down.
That's exactly right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what I was doing was looking at mint scan and being like, this seems a little bit off, because obviously I can literally just do like using JQ if you like. I didn't realize you could abuse JQ to the extent that I did yesterday. I was just like, shit, you could just do a map operation and then a sum operation.
You can
this
do
is risky.
So much JQ abuse. You can do like
I tell you what though, the maths was wrong. So I'd be careful. I'd be careful about that. Doesn't handle big integers very well. Which, I mean, go figure, right?
Ben Davis gives us a massive compliment, calling us some of the best validators. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that.
Oh dear.
He mentioned, he said best validators and confidence in the one sentence.
Exactly.
We should put that on our websites.
we should just quote part of that.
Quoted.
Perfect.
Comments from Game of Nodes podcast.
Just put that one on the website.
Oh, there you go.
The
Mintscan caches one. So Reese in the chat, Mintscan caches once a day, sum of all delegations, and then indexes the differences over time. So that probably accounts for the difference that we saw in the UI.
That makes sense. So did you go back? Are you looking at like older chains, like Juno and Stargaze and things like that? Or are you looking at like newer ones? That are, like,
just a
way under flux?
random grab bag of chains that have like a non-comedy market cap, but I mean a lot of Cosmos chains market caps relatively small, like in the tens of millions anyway. Or
I mean, there's a couple things that are launching soon, like Namada. You should look at Dimension. You should look at now. I mean, Dimension would be fun to be able to do that from Genesis, and then graph that over time and see what that looks like. DYDX, I think, would be a good one to do too.
I did DYDX. Say Evmos Osmosis, the hub.
Say never really got way out of whack. I mean, it's a small val set too, and it's heavily foundation delegated there.
I mean,
minus some big whales.
Very concentrated. I noticed some familiar names in the concentration there.
Yeah, Figment.
Yeah, familiar tired names as well.
Hey, fun story though for Figment. None of their delegations are foundation. They're all from their fucking custodial shit, probably.
Yeah.
But they're the top validator, and like there's no way for any validator really get into the Say set unless the Say team say so. Correct. Except Figment, that it's like fuck you.
Are they custodial? Do you know, or are they just working with institutions that are custodial?
No, I think they have a lot of custodial stuff.
Oh, they do.
But as well as like institutional and VC delegators as well. But I'm pretty sure we had to expand the set for them because they just muscled their way in and kicked one of the other guys out. So I'm pretty sure at the start we had to
went from 39 to 40 or something like that. Something I forget.
Well, no, I think it was like 36 to 38. I think they wanted someone else to join, and then Figment just said, "I'm coming."
Right. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, because they were Genesis validators that got booted out because of third-party investments coming in. And actually, I mean, kudos to the Say team for doing something about that too, right? Because they actually slowed the network to be able to allow more validators in to be able to do that, which is good. I think that's positive, right?
Yeah, I think Say is a funny one because it's so fast, but it's probably like, I don't think they plan to like do that again though. I don't think there's anyone else who would be able to get that much tokens to make them do that again anyway.
Well, unless the foundation themselves add additionals.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, they've still got 2 validators they can drop out of there as well. I think that was the purpose of those, is to just have stake that they didn't want delegated to anyone else yet, and to just drop them out if they want to bring other people in.
Yep. Yeah. It's good. Yeah, I don't know.
Brahma's in the chat fudding Say, by the way.
Yeah, he's big on FUD. Hey kid, shut the fuck up.
Number one fan. Get the STFU on it.
I need a storage server. New stuff's expensive. We're going secondhand here.
I thought you built one.
I did, but I don't like it. So I built I built a very expensive Epic system with shitloads of NVMEs. That's running fantastically. Wouldn't change a thing. But I need ZFS spinners. And just working out the right formula for that is, it's a task, because sure, you could just throw like, a new Epic at it, but it's going to cost you fucking 20 grand. So I am looking at right now I think the R740 XD platform is looking pretty good.
What the hell is that?
The Dell PowerEdge R740 extra depth. Yeah.
Why don't you just buy a big super micro box and be done with it?
Why don't you just rent that server from Hetzner?
Yeah.
He suddenly
You can
got
do
really
both those things.
excited. Like, ooh, you don't say.
Yeah,
Just buy a super micro bare bones with the
I'm not
board in
kidding.
there. Get something with 24 slots on it. Throw a CPU in there.
24
back of the
3.5-inch slots.
Yeah. Plus, and some of those now they do mixed where they do like a couple. They do like the one I saw has like 4 2.5s that are stacked, so you could do like NVMe's in there, and then they'll do 20 like actual 3.5-inch places, so you could boot off of like fast NVMe's.
I mean, depending on what your
How
budget
many
is.
U's? How many U's is it?
Hetzner.
How many U's? How many U's? Like 3
Yeah.
U, 2 U, 3 U,
All
3.
right.
It'd be whatever the drive is on Edge. 2 U. It's 2 U box, right?
So I think the 740 is a 2U, and there's no way you
that
can
sounds
fit
right.
more. You can't fit more than 12 3.5 inches into a fucking 2U.
No, I think it's no. You can get, isn't it 18
you can get
or 16 or something?
24. You can get 24 2.5 inches, like all standing up, but they have to put 3.5s flat, and they can't fit more than 12.
No, they don't put them fucking flat. What the fuck are you talking about?
The
The fuck you talking about?
2U is not much space. It's got to be a 3U. Like minimum. I mean, I'm looking at a 6U rack in front of me right now, and it's not very big. Like, it's got to be 3U minimum.
So the R740 they've got 12 up front. They've got another 4 in the mid stacker, and then you can stick 4 NVMe's up the rear. And this particular one has a M.2 card on it as well.
Yeah.
So it's got
Well, the port's added too, yeah.
a few fucking ports. But I think it's still PCIe Gen 4. It's Intel scalable Gen 2. I think it's a pretty good system. I mean, it's going to be faster than the drives anyway. They fucking SAS drives like.
Yeah.
Oh, but I am
Yeah.
going 100 gig backbone in the rack.
Just to move shit around.
Yeah. Plus, I just want to see them numbers, man.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be drive limited at that point.
Yeah, pretty sure the drives would be maxed out on a 25.
You'd probably be drive limited at 25 gig too.
Yeah, man. But if I just want to copy a file from RAM to RAM, yeah, baby.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the super micro box I have.
You have a super micro box?
I have like 3 stacked in my garage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Previous, yeah. There's 3 of them there. They're all vertical. I think there must be 16 drives across the top, vertical 3.5 inch on edge. There must be 16 across. I think it was 24, but that can't be right. It must be 16 across. I have 3 of those sitting in my garage. So if you want to come over, you can grab them. Just replace the motherboard. Nice backbone. Be fine.
Is it
be
Intel Gen 2? Is it? What are they? Fuck.
They're probably they're probably Xeons something or other. Probably 2016 ish.
So you don't have any in prod though.
No, this is all shit. This is all shit I had in my house, and then I got rid of all that shit.
Sorry,
I had a 42-inch rack like in the back over here with like fucking spinners in there, and then I had like sound deadening around it and all this shit because I had storage of all this whatever media and other shit that I had going on, and then at that point you just
wanted to have a 10
years ago you really couldn't.
This is like that program Forged in Fire, right? This is one of those things that happens because Americans have more space in their houses. So one day you get up in the morning and you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to get a home forge.
I think I might have a second bedroom.
Get a home forge. Yeah, you're just like, hey, you know what? I think with all this abundant room I have, I'm going to put a 48U rack to. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'll come up with something. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah. Like those things, but like 10 years ago, you couldn't get like cloud services like you have now. Like you couldn't. There was. I mean, it's at that point I didn't know it has
really need to. 10 years ago, I had a little hard drive that big, a Western Digital one or whatever.
I don't know. I had 30. I don't know. What did I have at that point? 20 terabytes of media and fucking 5 terabytes of like personal shit. I'm sure I have 10 terabytes of photos spinning around here. Like
what?
DSLR, big, they're big pictures. You get the raw files and everything else. Like,
yeah, you just get another hard drive for your camera.
A hard drive is not a solution.
We
Like-
just get two. I mean,
A hard drive is not. There's nothing. This isn't fucking blockchain where you just blow it
You
away.
know
or
the
you
shit-
grab it.
the shit that you own ends up owning you, usurper.
Hey, if
The
you're,
Dalai Lama said that.
it's a matter of where you're gonna. Like, I'm trying to. Well, this goes into a bigger issue of like, what do you do with? Like, I have racks and racks of like actual physical pictures from my father, right, and from like other family members, right, and so I'm custodial of that, which it's just fine, which I don't really want to digitize, and then also my kids really don't know anything about those individuals, or at least many of them, not all of them, but some of them, right, but I have some sentimental value to me, but they are history, right, and now I think about my kids. Well, I have say there's 5 terabytes of images floating around, right? Or whatever the hell it is. Whatever. Say it's 1. Is it iCloud? No. So like, what is the legacy piece? So like, you have stuff, Frey, from like maybe from your parents, wherever else, right? Or whatever happens over the next 15 years, you're going to gather more things. What is that legacy? Like, where does that go to your kids and eventually to their kids? And how do you keep that stuff alive? Because people, other than having physical items. And so,
I mean,
so like,
a lot of it. I mean, I guess the perspective here is like a lot of ours actually got destroyed because of
that's
a
one solution. I could burn it.
Yeah.
Just be like,
But
well,
also
all right.
then, yeah, in my old man's family, like they were just, I don't know, they're pretty broke. I think there aren't many pictures. I think there's like a couple of pictures of my grandma, maybe. And then like the other side of the family, partition and all that shit. There's only so many pictures that, there's a couple of the family all like with rifles and shit at one of my great uncle's farms. This was the period of time when there were the bit between what's now India and Pakistan was very, very lawless for a while. There were Sikh separatists, all this kind of shit. So it was a little bit Wild Westy. I mean, it's kind of like America is now, right? Everybody carries a gun all the time, right? Hey,
So,
but that was
what
like
you're telling
there
me
are
is
very,
that
very few pictures. So
you're trusting all your family's history to some Western digital fucking jumper drive that's in your drawer.
The valuable stuff is all on paper. But like it's
that is also not a backup.
Well, yeah,
No,
but if it goes,
down?
I know, like if it goes, it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, but it could
You
also
can
not
remember.
go by having a 42-inch rack in the rear and fucking something down in a data center with your valuable
shit
memory
sitting
on
in-
it.
Right, with shit sitting in
You too
S3
can spend
Glacier.
$100
Like,
grand to
come on.
save your fucking shit. Come on, man. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Well, like you can't take your NVMEs with you.
Instead,
When
you're
you
spraying
go,
your
when it's
cash
time
and
for you to
fucking-
go,
You're
when it's
spraying
time
your
for
cash
you to
over
go,
there at the
you
goddamn
can't
fucking
take your NVMEs with
West.
you.
It's
Yeah.
not for me. It's not for me.
It is for you. Your
It is
children
not.
are
No, it
not
is not.
going, Father, please store lots of stuff on NVMEs for us so that we can maintain it.
Again, it's not the
request to
fact
us.
of maintaining it is like is how do you, what is the digital legacy? Like the digital legacy problem is not solved. There's some companies out there to try to do this, like where you could buy. There's one actually we thought about creating this like 20 years ago. Then somebody actually built it here. But there's one that you I think it was you could upload to, I forget what it was. It was like up to like 20 terabytes, and it had a 100-year guarantee. So they actually stored it in 3 or 4 different locations, both online that you could get to, as well as they did hard copies, like in like an Iron Mountain type of thing, where it's actually climate controlled, like where they put artwork and shit like that. And there's another one too. It was like somewhere else. So we're like, no matter what. And then you had a legacy structure where you could give something to your kids and they can be able to bring that up. And then hopefully the idea was that you could hand that down, like if there's something that's there. And so whether that was documents or whether that was images or something similar to that, or anything that was digital that was important, like keys is another good example of that. Like that type of idea. And then Ben Davis says photos are meaningless without context. Well, you can extend that out to videos too, right? You can put context to those. You could record yourself talking about who those individuals are. You could build stories around that. Like those are all part of that legacy. And when because I know folks who have passed away earlier or have not had that opportunity to say that, and nobody lives forever. And sometimes you don't know when it's coming. And so from that perspective, to say, like, to be ready for that or have some sort of structure around it, I've always thought about, like, how do you think about, like, how am I going to hand this stuff down? And the rest of the shit can burn. I don't give a shit with you. I agree with you.
I guess it's difficult, right? Like I had a good friend of mine pass when I was pretty young, like we were both sort of 18, and there were three. I had 3 videos, like that was it, with us in it, mainly with just him, and they got lost, right?
Mhm.
But I could tell you frame by frame what happens in all 3 of those, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of sucks, but it's also kind of like, well, the only person who cares about that is me, and
Is that true though?
Yeah, you kids might want to troll through some shit when
Yeah,
when you're
right.
old, and
I
bust
mean,
it.
other than watching YouTube videos of Game of Nodes 20 years from now, which this fucking stupid podcast has more legacy components than personal memories. Even this one with Null's huge head in this window. Why is
It's
your
very-
head so big?
it's
It's
very
like,
big.
It feels like it's eating the rest of this podcast. Like it's literally like your
I get
your
so
eyes are like real
seasick.
size on my monitor.
Like just
Back
just
it
the
up.
lighting, everything is a
Just
disaster.
fucking-
Everything about Null's
was just like-
setup is
I
an
was like,
absolute disaster.
inspecting your nose hairs. Just back it up
It's
like an inch. It's fucking,
I don't know what's going on, man.
it
It's the-
reminds me of that. What's the line from Spinal Tap? I'm not taking any fucking orders from you. You look like an Australian's nightmare.
turn off that center stage thing. I think that's what it is. Apple just like loves close-ups on you. There you go. now I can barely see.
I think Null's in the back there somewhere.
Oh my goodness.
Have you been
You know
working
what?
out,
I
Null? Your
think
I'm
neck's
still working
pretty-
on this show.
I think it's the fashion in which my phone is sticky taped to my screen. Maybe that'd be better.
There you go. That looks better. I
And
mean, you were
who was
really
it?
close.
Who
It
was
felt like you were in
who
the
was
room
still
with
in
me.
a bear market earlier. When Null gets away from sticky tape, that's when we know we're in a real bull.
You know, I had a tripod that my phone could go on. I used to sit in front of my monitor here, except I lost it on the plane, and this plane service is particularly shit, and so their website says, you know, if you lose something, just ask the friendly assistants at the plane. And I asked them, and they're like,
Fuck off.
nah. Like, how the fuck would I know?
First
And I'm
time
like,
in
well,
Miami.
First
the
time.
internet says to ask the friendly staff on the plane, and they're like, man, when shit's lost, we just stick it in a box and give it to the fucking terminal. And I'm like, cool. So
Cool.
the story
Cool
about you
story.
storing it for 3 months is bullshit. And they're like, I don't know, someone's probably storing it somewhere.
Somebody, it's in the box.
It's in the box, man. So
right. We
it's
don't
gone.
get off the stupid topic. I do want to solve this problem though. I don't know how we get into this. We're talking about spinning hard drives.
Nacho racks.
Yep. Not to mention those early DVD copies of Simpsons seasons 1 through 6. I don't know if I can really pull those back.
Okay, Simpsons is a valid reason for having a rack
I st-
right there, because
start-
I can tell you, it is a disaster. Like, do you remember when there used to be like loads of shit tier like 360p pirate?
Yeah.
Like the Simpsons, it was very easy to find a place to watch the Simpsons online if
Yes.
you were prepared to watch it in 360p. Like,
They used to-
I'm pretty sure Surf the Channel had it, and there was like a specific Simpsons one, and
there was a specific website in the Netherlands. In fact, it's burned in on some of my early copies. I'll have to take a look. Like as soon as you'll hear it, you probably know exactly which one I'm talking about. Because I remember like that's where we used to pull it from. Was like these weird fucking RTL dot something or other. Is what it was.
Yeah, I feel like there used to be loads of places to watch old good episodes of The Simpsons, and fuck knows now. And yeah, the temptation is to just like try and buy a massive DVD set off eBay or something like that, because fuck paying Disney Plus. Jesus, no, what the hell?
What's going on?
We just started watching.
Sucks.
My youngest one. We started watching some stuff from season 4 and 5.
Put it in age.
We watched Mr. Plow. We watched that one. We watched Marge versus
Mr.
Motto.
Plow.
Well, that's
I
put
was,
it in age.
I was cycling back in some sleet from the office like a few weeks ago, and I just found myself humming the that name again. It's Mr. Plow. And I was
Señor
like,
Plow no es macho, solamente un
so
brazo.
deeply ingrained, some of that stuff, isn't it?
Yep. I didn't know you knew Linda Ronstadt.
The fuck are you people on about?
Oh, some good old Simpsons movies or or episodes.
Noel's like, I don't watch cartoons. I'm too busy getting
too
more burnt out by working 18 jobs.
I'm making blocks.
I'm looking right now for some 100 gig port cards. They're not cheap.
I
Anyway.
would skip that. I would skip that. If you
Why,
if you
man?
want to get, because it's just a waste of money. Like you're not doing that much. There's nothing that requires that much time. You're just taking a snapshot and moving things across. Like if it takes an hour, it takes 30 minutes. It doesn't change your life in any way, right?
What if I need to restore it? Riddle me that.
Yeah.
You got 13 hours, dickhead.
No, this is archived. He's not even making.
Oh, okay.
It takes a long time to move like 20
The
terabytes
downtime
over a
window is
fucking
really
1
fucking
gig link.
The downtime windows. I thought you meant for a node. I was like, the downtime window is hella long, and Polkachu's got your archives anyway. So
Pikachu got you covered.
that's right.
You could bond a couple smaller ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could do like 10s and bond them, or do 25s and bond them, or something like that. You don't have to do 100.
But like, just 100's easier. You just plug one cable and you're done. Stick it in your 100 gig switch and you're done. Fiber. DAC, man. DAC.
Roto Labs. That's it. Channel Roto Labs on FNet on IRC. That was the one. Rotolabs.cjb.net. Fucking classic. They used to have all that early Simpson stuff on there. Jesus, that comment must be 10, 20 years old. Ridiculous. That guy's probably in jail.
So how about some last minute news or the just in time news?
Yeah. What do you got?
Must be like ultra up to date, right? It's just in time.
Yep.
Circle stops issuing USDC on Tron.
I did get an email about that. The Circle CEO sent me something personally. Okay, maybe
like we're very sorry, sir. We can't.
Dear
issue it.
Mr. Rhino, if that
Dear.
is your real name.
Yeah. So did they say why? They said, yeah, we're done. That's all they said.
After internal business compliance focusing on issuing USDC. After internal business compliance
Internal
focusing.
business?
Must be after internal business review, maybe. Missing some words here. Just in time is, truncating sentences now. Compliance focusing on issuing USDC to other ecosystems and chains. I guess they're just putting all of their attention into Nobel now. Noble.
Keep putting that in pauses. Noble. So, but USDT was, isn't that like 99% of Tron traffic or something was USDT? Is that what it is? Or
What?
is it USDC?
USDT, not USDC.
It says USDC.
No, I understand that, but Tron, like most of their traffic is USDT traffic, right? That was the that they had. So this was like the also ran stable coin on Tron.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Copy.
It's weird. Oh, there must be something else. I mean, did they say why? There was this. They were just reviewing it because they're adding so many new chains at Circle. It's interesting that they're removing one.
Does anybody know, like, do you guys use the Circle stuff, or you just use?
I have an account. I've tried it a couple times, but I didn't really see the value, to be honest.
Is it feelers or is it?
No, it's really more of a. Well, the last time I used it, which was maybe 6 months ago, it was really more payments. There were some payments focused pieces in there, and more wallet activities than necessarily the bridging piece. At least in their portal. So, which might have changed now with CCTV.
Yeah, maybe it's improved. Like I tried to use it like a year or two ago to take a payment.
Yeah,
for us as a business, and they fucked up our application, fucked up our KYC. We had to send them money in order to verify, and it's just like $5 or something, like a Swift payment, and then they send it back to you. it got lost because their bank details were like incompatible in some way with European business bank. It was just this fucking nightmare. And then I contacted with Leader. They assign you a rep when they see you're a business. So I contacted our rep and was just like, hey, look, this isn't working. And they're like, oh, it's very, very simple. You're not using a bank. And I was like, well, how the fuck did we just send you a Swift transfer then? They're like, well, it's not a bank we recognize. And I was like, well, it's a business bank in the United Kingdom. And they were like, well, your payment appears
doesn't
to
have a
be,
website, sir.
your payment appears to be like, you know, fucking lost in the ether or whatever. And I was like, okay, so basically what I've done is fired £5 into outer space, which we're not going to see back. And it just YOLO, it's gone into international monetary systems, fuck knows where. And you're telling us we don't have a bank. And they're like, you could try another bank. And I was like, or what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to tell our accountants to write off this payment as unpaid, and we'll just fucking forget about this entire episode because this is a waste of my time.
But didn't you already said like your home bank doesn't like have internet service and they don't like have a website and you have to go there physically? And,
This
like,
was our
they have
old.
They have to move a huge rock away in front of a fucking cave and shit to get at your money. Like
So that was our other bank, which tried to shut us down for being a company that works in crypto. So this is going back quite a long time, right? So they're a trendy, modern, hip bank with advertising and cool shit and good customer reviews, and they didn't want our business, so we had to go to a boomer bank that literally had never heard of the internet. So there's no way they could work out that, you know, that they wouldn't know what crypto was anyway. So it's fine. It's like, internet, you guys can do that on computers now?
On the what? On the www?
I guess this is something nice about the Australian banks. Like, I've never had an issue with a bank account over here ever.
Even with
never had a
big balls
problem
blockchain?
sending something. Yeah, even like no one gives a fuck. They're just like,
What is it? Is it because they actually don't give a fuck, or have they just never looked?
no, they don't care. I talked to the banks. I said, are you like, you know, are you crypto positive over here? And they're like, yeah, man, come on.
That's crazy. Like there's so many
Bring your dollary dues.
Here it's super weird. They get really antsy about companies that work in the space. I think because there's currently very little regulation. I think they all assume there will soon be regulation. And they don't want to deal with regulated entities, maybe just issue them bank accounts. It's very hard to unissue a bank account, isn't it?
So I think no, not in the States. If you ask them, they just fucking say no thank you anymore.
Exactly.
Where do I send the check?
Yeah, I guess to be fair, actually, you're right. They can just fucking say withdraw your money, dickhead.
Yeah, they just wake up one day and send you a letter, and they're like, sir, we don't want you anymore.
So, but in that context, like, well, why should you give a shit then? Like, if you decide one morning in the future that you don't want their business, you just go, well, I don't want your business anymore. And I don't know.
Understand CCTP, that money, like that's the one-click USDC. This is from, I forget who built this. Is this? It's not Skip, right? This is Strangelove. Yeah, I think somebody had Strangelove.
Kind of, but not really. It was someone that was from Strangelove, but then they split off. They're actually using our nodes as their backend.
It's weird that they have like I was looking at the bridge fees associated to this. So they're actually taking some money off of here as a bridge fee. Like Ethereum to Noble is $1, and then Noble to Ethereum is showing a bridge fee of $20. But if I go to Squid Router is free both ways. So I don't understand what the hell is going on here, but it should be free both ways. There's nothing. I mean, I guess anyway, whatever. It's weird that it's taking $20 off the Noble Ethereum structure on something that I thought didn't necessarily have that issue, because it's not a bridge, right? It's a complicated multilateral contract structure that verifies and burns and yada yada yada.
I think CCTP is simpler than that.
Yeah. Anyway, Squid Router V2 now has all the CCTP integrations. We've been using that a little bit more, which has been pretty cool to move USDC around. It's been very
Last
easy, very
time we
quick.
were talking about this, didn't we find a way to send it both ways to EVM and back without fees? Did we figure that out?
It used to be on cctp.money because I before it was they were doing no bridge fees at all, and right now they're showing a bridge fee. I guess maybe this must be just it says minting gas and relayer costs. I assume that's the Ethereum gas that's coming up in here. That's my only guess
So
on
what
that.
is it, like $6 or something? $10?
Here it's showing. I was trying to move $50 and it said it was going to take 20 out of the bridge fee. So
Ouch.
Squid's showing 0. But I don't know. You still got to do the fucking Ethereum permission to use the token on that, which is usually whatever that's going to be. I can take a look here. It's got to be $15. So
Jigs Van Leeuwen,
$8.
sorry, sir, for butchering the shit out of your name, says Squid is not actually free. The fee is just obfuscated.
Yeah, that could be because also you have to do the permission on Ethereum to be able to use Squid for that token, and so that is a $8 obviously contract call, and then after that we'll see. But yeah,
Noble takes 0.5% up to $5 to exit Noble Chain.
there you go.
What is this? Claiming my alt airdrop cost $19 in gas, approximately 10% of the airdrop. Good one, Ben Davis. You still got 90% of free money. GG.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Excellent. So you made out positively on a crypto investment. That 90% that you retain is also a better win rate than everybody in the space.
It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of the, like the Nigerian prince scams. It's like, we've got $1,900 waiting for you. Just send us $19 to unlock it. To this bank account.
To this really, really specific bank account that doesn't have the same name on it.
We just needed tax and fees to unlock
just taxes and fees.
Your inheritance of $500 billion.
Yeah, the only person asking for tax and fees on any kind of inheritance is the fucking government. And the kind of numbers that are involved in there, and in those scams, you're like, well, it's yeah. Anyway, sorry, it's just shitting me that Guy, is that how you say it? Guy Van Leeuwen in the chat is like got almost exactly the same name as Troy Van Leeuwen from Perfect Circle and Failure. Heis. Okay, so Heis in the chat has a very, very similar name to TVL from Failure and Perfect Circle and Queens of the Stone Age, and that.
I'm sorry, did you just say GIJS is Heis?
Heis, it's Dutch, yeah.
Holy shit.
There's a whole world out there now.
There is. They have taken those letters to a fucking whole new level. It's like Jose.
GVL. That's a great nickname. I don't know if anybody's done that yet, but GVL.
Why is that a good nickname?
It's got a ring to it. Why is any nickname good? Oh. Not all of us give ourselves our own nickname like you have.
What? Yeah, that's mine. Null.
One of these days I'll run into somebody whose handle is nonce, and that's gonna be a day.
Nounce.
Sorry, it's actually pronounced N once.
Sorry.
It's N once.
So I genuinely thought it was pronounced N once. That's kind of what I've assumed. And then I was in the computer science department, and I heard two people walking past, like professors or whatever, and one of them just said something nonce, and the other one went, something nonce, and I was like, oh, okay, there you go. It's just that these people are more evolved than me, that they don't immediately break down laughing at it every time they hear it. Because I was just stood there going.
I just don't know like would you say ONCE? Does that come out as once?
Once. That's how you say once. The word once.
Is it?
Remove the N and look at it. Yes.
But why did you just detach the N from it though? Like, why were you N once?
Because N once is a
NCE.
concatenation of N hyphen once.
Yeah, but there's no hyphen.
Because people run it together. Have you noticed how Cosmos Hub are 2 words, and yet everybody writes Cosmos Hub as 1 word?
No.
It's very common. This is how concatenation happens.
Like
But, I
downtown.
mean, well, concatenation. Well, I mean, there's 2 methods of concatenation. There's straight concatenation, and there's like portmanteaus. But that's like I'm not a etymologist.
Ben Davis
One
says
that's
drink.
not-
Did someone mention tax?
Or PhD.
Oh, actually, no. The Frey mentioned the government and tax fees. Yes. Or PhD. Yeah,
ding
maybe.
ding ding. Is it a tax bell? Probably.
It's probably more likely I'm doing a doctorate bell. Are you going to be like is it
5 years time, and I have to pass it.
who is the bird from that show about the aliens? And she's always like, I'm a medical doctor. I'm a crypto doctor. Hi, my name's the Frey. I'm a crypto doctor. What is her name? Fucking I can't even remember the name of the show. It's got Skull. Oh, it's Scully. Every time like something's going, get out of my way. I'm a medical doctor. Yeah, the X-Files. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
She always says it. She doesn't say I'm a doctor. She says I'm a medical doctor. Like
Does she use?
I think it's flex.
It's an important distinction when I guess there's somebody on the floor. It's like, is there a doctor in the house? Oh yes, I'm a doctor of economics. Excellent. That's gonna fucking.
Well, I mean, you could do the same thing when you're at like a conference and someone's struggling with like some crypto thing in the corner. You just go and push them out of the way and be like, let me through. I'm a crypto doctor.
So what I've noticed is in academia, like generally people don't even mention it, or it's not even listed anywhere because if you're just a doctor, you're so low in the pecking order that it's not even mentioned.
Just
That's like
doctor.
That's like table stakes. That's table stakes for being in the building, right?
What comes after that?
Associate, I think associate lecturer, then associate professor, then professor, something like that.
Can you be any of those things without being a doctor?
No.
Huh.
It's like the academia has a surprisingly rigid hierarchy, as far as I can tell. It's like it's kind of weird because like I'm kind of very much on the outside of it. I'm like the lowest of the pecking order because I'm from industry and just doing a PhD. So if people don't assume that you want to be in academia and you're going to stick around, there's like an extra layer of like cool.
Ben Davis says, "Fuck you, you're wrong."
You can be a lecturer without being a doctor.
I've seen lecturers that are basically off the street with no shoes.
Yeah, I mean, mate, I don't know. I don't know actually about that. But you can be a teaching assistant. You can be like a PGTE, or whatever it is, PGTA. But even then, you still have to have a master's. I think
maybe in
departments,
Jolly. I think maybe in Jolly England, maybe the rules are different. Maybe they're a little bit more fucking, snobby over there. You've got to be educated to educate, man.
Imagine my surprise. Well, you can't teach it. Okay, so you can't teach at school. You can't teach at a secondary school until you have a degree and a teacher training qualification, which is
bullshit.
No, true.
I know over here that there are PE and science teachers that don't have any qualifications whatsoever. And substitute teachers, they're
Yeah,
basically
but that's
vagrants.
Australia. I'm talking about a country that has, higher educational standards.
Just fucking walked into that. Just walked right into that. Literally. No, over here, my math teacher was also my garbage man. Like, what the fuck? He literally walked right into that.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, when you got like 15 people in a town, people got to multitask, But like over here, we have settlements that go up to like 1 million people. Like
Like your PE class is just everybody running around delivering mail. Something. You have to get out there. All right. No,
Yeah.
Oh,
picking on
Lex
Australia.
is yawping in the
There's
in the
quite a bit
chat
of
here.
yawping in the chat. Respect the yawp. You got to respect the yawp, even though.
Even Adam Farnsworth. Welcome,
Even
Adam,
though-
with the yawp.
Speaking of Yawping, another
The
piece of news.
whole title of this episode, right, was because we have a theory that he if you yawp at the wrong time, you get kicked to death by a foundation, right? That was our theory.
It was a lot. It was a lot of yapping at one time.
There was a bit too much. So the background here is in a private channel, the members of this podcast saw a post from a foundation and were all so quick out of the gate to yawp. We're talking several plus several friends of the show as well. Just a stream of yawping that got the channel locked because another node operator complained about how much yawping there was.
That's exactly
and
what happened.
asked for the number of notifications to be reduced. And
Isn't this an announcement
beautiful,
channel?
should this not be
Fucking-
locked? Should there not
should
be
this
fewer
not-
notifications? Like, I can't stand all these notifications. It was like
should there be
the
less
21
shilling?
minutes, all of this yawping.
All this ass
That's how we do
kissing
this
is
in
keeping
voice.
me up at night. That's exactly what happened. It is exactly what happened. It was an over yawp. I was just trying to beat Schultze. That's it. That's all I was trying to do. I didn't want to yawp, but I knew he was going to come in. I was like, well, shit, I can't be after him, so I'm going to yawp.
Swing in with something well.
And we all go at the same time, right? So there's like three within a half a second.
The yawp is very much like a time barred thing. And, the further away from the channel open your yawp gets, like the least,
Exactly.
the less effect the yawp has.
It's like a nuclear decay rate. It's got a half-life, right? For sure. Like every minute, fucking that yawp.
It's like the
Right.
longer from the last post by the foundation, because they're the big dogs and everybody else is the little dog, and you're not yawping to the little dogs. So it's like
You
that,
yawp
the
up.
decay rate of time, like pure entropy, and then
Mhm.
also every yawp ahead of you like multiplies that decay rate. And in addition, you're being cucked by them. So you do need to.
Plus, you can't say the same shit. You have to spin that yawp.
You
Right.
gotta
No.
think- you gotta
If it's
sit there
salute, it's
and
fine. You
spend
can all just do the
seconds.
salute.
No,
You gotta
that,
spend seconds thinking about what to yawp. I mean, those are valuable, expensive
by the way,
seconds where somebody might yawp ahead of you, and then that's just one more assault on your manhood.
and
you know?
that salute bullshit doesn't work in Slack. That's a Discord only fucking thing.
Yeah, salute is
Yeah,
very much a low.
Doesn't work in
Right.
Slack. Slack is like that's a higher level of yawp. Like you got to put some thought into it. You can't just
Well,
you can't just
Slack has to be it has to involve intellect. It's an intellectual yawp.
there you go. That's right.
Slack
That's
is
right.
the intellectual
Right.
Discord.
Which
means
is
I-
why
Which means
Which
I
is
have to
why
do a
that's
week of research before yawping.
By the time Null's done his week of research to yawp, it's
Uh,
just like 1,800 degenerates in front of him. He's
that's
like,
right.
well, this was good. This was worthwhile. This was worth the week of research.
Which is
But then
exactly
I
why
come
this
in with
channel got locked.
my highly intelligent intellectual yawp, and then it nullifies the rest. It's like they just all ignite into fire.
So you're saying that
Well-
you're like Pooh Bear in the tuxedo, right? And we're like Pooh Bear in normal Pooh Bear clothes, and then we look a bit shit.
Plus your yawp usually comes in a good 12, 14 hours after everybody else has done it because it's probably happened early East Coast time,
Yeah,
which means
the
it shows
offset,
up.
man.
Right, it's the offset, and then you say something cool, and you're like, well, fuck you, it's tomorrow. Like,
I get
way
killed
ahead of
by
you.
the offset. You know,
I know.
fucking
know.
the offset cost me an Aptos position. I'm sure of it.
It hurts. It hurts. It really puts a ding on in the op game.
Hmm.
You got to work nights.
He's already working nights. That's the problem. He's too busy working nights on the marginal gains and not getting sleep, getting well rested, taking some time off, taking some me time.
Educating myself.
You know,
just
yeah,
ready
exactly.
for that Yawp.
Kind of trying
Right.
to ease the burnout to be 100% game ready for the optimal Yawp. That's how. That's the true Sigma grind set.
I think, you know, your optimal like Yawp ability comes at peak burnout, and you have to sustain peak burnout for like years.
That is demonstrably untrue.
Peak burnout for years.
My flame burns bright, my friend.
Honestly, I had this really mortifying thing that happened a little while ago, which was that so like I took some time off for the like proper time off, like as in laptop away, not touching it for any fucking reason for a week over this Christmas, which is something you can do when you're stuck at home because you have a sick child, which you can't do if you go on an actual holiday as a validator. You have to have your laptop with you at all times and kind of vaguely compulsively be aware of where it is.
It's fun actually jet skiing with a laptop.
Do you know what? I was hiking, you know, like in the mountains, and I had a laptop and a phone with a Wi-Fi hotspot and shit with me in a rucksack. And I was like, on some level, this is not as relaxing as it could be. And it turns out, like, if you're at home, you just fucking put your laptop under the sofa or whatever, and just you can't fucking see it, and you forget about it, and you can actually relax. It's mad. Anyway, after doing that, I reflected back on some meetings we'd had in like November, December, like new business type meetings, and I was like, I sounded like a fucking idiot, and like, you know, when you're like, if you're kind of proud of trying to do a good job. I know Usurper's talked about this when we've done the Game of Nodes business chat before on the podcast. Usurper said, like, you know, a bunch of stuff about how, like, if you take better pride in your work, you're going to beat other people to contracts, and that's how you do it, right? And I think to some degree, I think we all kind of have pride in our work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you are not a good judge of where you're at. And I think that was why I had this moment of like horror, because I realized I got into these meetings thinking like, I'm on top of stuff. It's fine. I'm just going to talk about, like, you know, all these other things we've been doing. We've got this experience over here. We've got this experience over here. We do this cool stuff in crypto that's real cutting edge. We're on top of things. And then I was just like, I reflected on like what I actually must have sounded like. And I just sounded like a complete fucking idiot. Like the
guy in the corner of the pub.
Yeah, because if you're that tired, like it's my I mean, it's like, this is not going to sound right on this podcast, right? Because compulsively on this podcast, I have a habit of filling dead air, right? So I think I talk a lot more on this podcast than I do in real life, right?
Is your problem in the room with us right now?
Yes. The problem is that Schultzy talks about 50% less than I do, and I have to make up the extra percentage. And so I leave every
think
week with a
your
horse throat.
percentages are a long way off.
Yeah, more like 90-10.
50.
Yeah. But this is why every week
Schultzy has something pertinent to say, the phrase speaks.
this is a fucking podcast. You have to speak. Yeah. And this ain't my first podcast.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
it. But anyway, the long and short of it is, and now it has got to the long of it rather than the short of it, is that I reflected on a bunch of meetings and I was like, the problem was when you're really, really tired, you have a habit of, especially early meetings with people, they're quite awkward. They're all about finding essentially rapport. Like, you're just trying to win the people over, right? And what you do when you're well rested and you're on top of things and you're on top of your game is you try and get those people on side. You try and find out what they need, right? That you can give them, that you can help them out with, and ultimately you can sell them, right? That's your business. You're like, okay, you need more people, right? I know some good people. We can put together a team. We can blah blah blah. Like, it's all that stuff, right? when you're super tired, at least me, right? I'm just like, fuck, here's a list of stuff we can do. Right. And
Yeah,
it's just,
well,
you shoot the gun on because you're trying to get you're like super tired and you're time poor, and you have that rush of like that restless energy that Nell's talking about, and that energy takes you to just like that's what I found anyway. I was just like mortified by it. Looking back, I was like, oh, it's not how you talk to people.
Well, also, I think sometimes in this role, you get pulled into different types of projects or things that happen. And then maybe that you didn't think you were going to go do, or just came up as an opportunity, or you're on a bunch of different chains, and then or different types of things that you do for those different engagements. Right. And then when somebody asks you like what you do, you try to put all these little islands together into a story. Right. And say, like, how do I take these little islands of things that we do and actually convert that into like, we are the best at X, right? And sometimes that on the spot, unless you're unless you're really thinking about it, can be really difficult because it just comes out as a jumbled sense of mess and bullshit, right? And it turns into just saying, oh, these are the things that we do, like we do this, and like, right? And it's
A
difficult.
friend of mine described this as like, never list your CV.
Yeah, right.
Even in a job
Right.
interview, you never just list
Right.
your CV.
Right.
That is never going to work.
Yeah.
What do you mean
And then,
list your CV? What does that
meaning like
mean?
just never list like the experiences that you've had. Like
Oh.
we're guilty of that too. Like if somebody asks us like, what do you guys do? Some of my first words are projects and chains that we're involved in, which really should not be. Like some of those are good because we want to build name recognition of that, right? We'd say, oh yeah, we do X for Y,
Do you know what you
which
said
is
there?
helpful.
That is literally what we did. What I did in one of these meetings.
Yeah.
Was,
And so
listed a list of chains,
yeah.
and a few of them they hadn't even heard of,
Right.
obviously. And you're like,
yeah. And so it's tough to be able to step back from that and say, because I think if you actually get rid of all those names, you just say what you do. I don't know how differentiation that is. You know what I mean? And so the differentiation turns into where are you on some, like what projects are you involved in? And that gives a little bit more understanding, at least if it's worthwhile continuing the conversation. I think that becomes a proof point. Like you're starting to say, well,
Yeah.
go,
and
we're here.
especially as well. I mean, it's different. I think, when you're talking to foundations and things like that, because typically that's like, there's a cross of purposes, because usually we're talking as a validator, but also they want to know what else can you do for us. And that is a case where usually in our case, it would be, we have a bunch of experience from a bunch of different situations and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But especially but I mean, in that case, and as well, but especially in the consulting end of things, it's much more like, there's a really good description of like being a manager. I think it's Eric Dietrich. I can't remember exactly, so don't quote me on that. Where he says like the best people who ever work for you when you're a manager are the people who take a problem, go away, and then they come back with it solved, right? And if they come back with a question to you, it's going to be like a specific technical thing about the implementation that has a meaningful need for your input. If it's something that they could figure out with their own initiative, they go and do that, right? And his point is like, this is the people that you want to surround yourself with as a manager. And if you're not at that point in your career, or maybe you were and you prefer doing line work, whatever it is, or if you're a consultant, seek to be the person that knows what the outcome is, goes away and makes that problem disappear, right? And I think like, not when you list your CV or the equivalent, it's that problem of not being outcome focused, isn't it? Because ultimately, like every counterparty in a business relationship is usually looking for an outcome, and your job as somebody who's trying to sell them a service or do business is to make that outcome happen.
Yeah.
Even as validators, right? We're trying to facilitate an outcome, which is the chains live, right? So going like, we validated 10 chains. Yeah, but were you down on all 10 of them? Like, what is your uptime? Like, what?
Right.
It's you are answering the question, but you're answering the question almost accidentally if you just say, oh, we're on 10 chains. We've been there for 2 years. It's like, okay, so I can infer from that you must be up. Great. That helps our outcome, but you didn't answer my question.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. I think, and like I said, like, and then you get involved in not just validating, you start doing these other things, and then trying to build a story around that, which we like. I have. I'm not sure how effective it is, but we have a story through that, and so also sometimes the things that we're talking to don't fit that story, and so you're like, well, is this a fit? And is is this still worthwhile, or is it something that we want to, we recognize that there's not a fit here type of idea, but we're also opportunistic. So story fucking changes sometimes, right? Like an event might be 100% fit, but it's something we can clearly do. So of course we want to be able to help with that, right? Especially if there's somebody good on the other end we want to work with. But yeah, but that's talking to people who understand this space. If you change that to talk to people who don't understand this space, that is really, really challenging.
But then I think, that again is another situation where you 100% will want to take a step back, because if they're even talking to you,
yeah,
they have an interest in this space, and
maybe, or
taking that step back and finding out what it is they actually need is even more essential in that situation, because listing a bunch of shit they don't even understand is not going to help you. But depending on who that counterparty is, that could be the most profitable thing you do all year. If they literally don't know about it, and there is a reason that they need the outcome to be A, we know about it, or B, we are operating within that paradigm. You know how to do that, and they don't. So that's the question on the table, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
But anyway, I had several of those meetings, and I obviously completely stuffed them up. So in hindsight,
well, at least I mean, recognizing that you stuffed it up is actually part of the battle. So now you can actually think about it and like practice it a little bit, and like think about what those components are, which you'll forget next time you're in a situation and stuff it up again. But maybe the third time.
I mean, I think I think I go as far as to like put a like. So there's that thing about like how if people they a bunch of companies did the thing where you get as much holiday as you want. In like 2010s, it was like a bit of a meme, and a lot of companies then did it. Nobody took time off, and then everybody got really burnt out. And I think like both that and the fact that you actually are on all the time as a small business person, like or a company owner, founder, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's a recipe for burnout. Everybody knows this, whatever. But like it's only really been in the last month when I've been going back over, especially like really the last year. I mean, it wasn't just those were just an example of something really recently where I was just like, when you're so embarrassed by something, or it's recent enough that you feel it. You're like, oh, that was not me best, But you just go like, there's a whole bunch of situations like, again, like people. We did the Chainlink conference in Barcelona. I know we didn't do it to do new business. It was largely to sort of see guys, see Artifact. Hang out, that sort of stuff. But again, there were conversations that we had there where in hindsight you're like, yeah, even if there was a thing there's no way I would have known about it because I didn't ask the right questions. And that is annoying. That is a thing about managing burnout that I think absolutely at this end has been learned the hard way. And I'm going to bang on about burnout now to anybody that will listen, because I think it's just like very easy to quantify in hindsight what you fucked up as a result of burnout. It's very hard to quantify at the time.
I don't know if it's burnout. It might be just context switching as well. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be burnout. It just could be sometimes you're so in the fucking weeds that somebody asks you a very simple question and your brain recoils because you're trying to simplify all this shit that's going on in your head. Right. And which I think is, I mean, this stuff gets complicated. And so when you try to not dumb it down, it's the wrong term, but you try to simplify what value you bring or like what things you're doing into someone who doesn't have 100% of the context that you have, that can be challenging, right? Like even if they're in this space, even if they understand exactly what, kind of what they're trying to do. But I wouldn't go too hard on. I'm not saying you don't have burnout. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like it's the context switching pieces is a bitch.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll fend it off in future by actually taking some time off. That's the plan. Except that Apto Stress Nut has been dropped on my next time off, so that's a bit of a miss. But whatever, man.
Hopefully, it might be just standing things up and letting it run, and then maybe do an upgrade here and there. Hopefully, it won't be that big of a deal.
Yeah, we'll I mean, hopefully, yeah, exactly. Although, back to the Hetzner thing, we're still fucking waiting on boxes. What the hell, man? Like, we've delivered almost all of them except for one more that we need, and it's just like,
probably just reach out.
Are you running? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll reach out to Herr Hetzner. I'm sure he'll be right on it. Are you using? You're not using 7950s for the actual VNs, are you?
For both,
really? Because we've already taken delivery of a 7950 for the VN, so I guess worst case scenario, we'll just run that.
I'm crushing the benchmark on them, so there's no issue. Like we're way beyond the benchmark.
They
So
just shot the bed so bad. But then it was a temperature issue, wasn't it? I don't know.
yeah,
How
these
much
are
RAM? 256 RAM or 128?
no 128's max. Actually,
128?
I think the 3D can do 192, but the other one is limited at 128.
Oh right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So RAM was never really the issue too much before.
Yeah, I
so
mean-
we'll see. We'll see. And then I mean, drives. These things are fast. This is nice and cool. I like these new boxes. These super micros that are like blades, and they're like right now. I'm running the long benchmark right now as while we're talking on all 4 of them. But
What
on the short benchmark, it fucking crushes that thing. It's actually probably like 10% off of that 9374F I ran on PreviewNet 2. And it crushes it single core. It's just the multi cores maybe 10-15% off, and that thing has fucking twice as many cores in it. So
the 9374 is the faster Epic, isn't it? It's the one that's
The
actually
F.
got the clock speed. Yeah, the F.
The
Well,
F,
the F
yeah.
is just that it's for a single socket.
no, it's a higher bin, I thought.
No, the Fs are single sockets only, and the other ones you can use in dual
Oh, okay.
sockets.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, so we had a 9474 and we had a 9374 Fs in the PreviewNet 2. And like I'm looking at the benchmarks here. I mean, obviously those things have more cores. So on the long core test, they do better. But on the short, like it's exactly the same. Like actually, it's these 7950s are way faster. So
The Epic numbers confuse the shit out of me. Like the 9374 has less cores, I believe, than like a 9354, which is like
The
higher core.
9354 has fewer cores than the 90. No,
I
it was
don't
the other
remember.
way.
I have
I
a
think
picture here somewhere.
It's the one of them that has a lower number, has a higher clock speed. Or no,
Yeah.
the other way around.
it's got a bigger number
lower
and a
clock
higher clock
speed.
speed, but a lower core count.
Correct. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah, those
Something
are always
like
inverse.
that.
It's
that sounds
confusing
right.
as shit.
It's the 9.3 versus the 9.2.
That's right. So the second number, as that increases, the more cores you get. Right. So 9124, 9224, 9254, et cetera, and then the third number is relative clock speed. So 9224 is 24 cores at 3.7. 9254 is 24 at 4.1. 9274 is 24 at 4.3. If that makes sense. And
So
then
I
the
have a
93 series,
9354, and it's a
That's-
32 core.
That's
64
32. That's right. Because the 92s are 24 core, 93s are 32 core, the 94s are 48 core, the 95s are 64 core, and 96 are 84 core. Or actually,
Right.
there's one that's 96 core.
So you had a 32 core 74. So that's like the faster 32 core.
Yeah, that's the fastest. That's 3264 at 4.3 boosting. I'm sorry, that's max clock at 4.3 or the base of 4.1. No, I'm sorry. Wait. Let me rephrase. Base of 3.85 at a boost of 4.3. Like that thing's a fucking beast, man. And then
They
the other one
are
I had was a 90.
expensive too.
That core, I think that thing's probably 10 or 12 grand US. And then the
Yeah,
9474 I had that's 4896 with a base of 3.6 boosting to 4.1. Both of those, I mean, they're fucking burners. I think the issue I had was like it was still too new and the BIOS was like not great and we had like weird fucking drive issues. Like it was just like not very stable. And it would drop on certain things or whatever else. So we'll see. And also, like honestly, in this network, in these preview nets, we're not the slowest one in there. And there's no like we might be the fastest one there, but it doesn't really make a difference. so
I mean, it
like,
doesn't.
very different preview
get the
net.
network up and running. I'm not even sure if you were down the entire net, then there would be a problem. But
Yeah.
especially the last one where there was some deliberately unstable, or not deliberately unstable, but potentially unstable software being tested.
Mhm.
There were a lot of VFNs down for the final 10 days. Like, especially
they just could
anything
not
that
come
ran
back.
hot where, the DC wasn't maybe, the provider hadn't like ventilated it properly or cooled it properly or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like the thing that I keep going on about with the temperatures on ours, they were like literally to a reading that was insane. When you looked at the reported temperature of the box, it was like that can't be right. But they were like completely toast. Like they were not able to actually process jack shit despite being powerful boxers. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll probably be fine in conclusion.
Couple. You want to do a couple more news
Do
before?
you want to talk about ETH Denver? I mean, you're going ETH Denver. What's going to be a big highlight? That's next week, right? You said
It is. Yeah. Schultzen will be out there. A couple others will be out there. Artifact will be out there. Polkachu making a trip. Actually, we think, right? Might have trying to find some
I'll
time
be there
together.
for 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
so. If you're at ETH Denver and you see these guys,
Yep,
go ask them for Game and Nodes merch.
Yes, I will. Yes, for sure. I will have Game and Nodes merch at ETH Denver. And then also we're sponsoring there's a thing called the Bufficorn's Dreamland, which is the official ETH Denver opening party. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. That is on Wednesday, February 28th at 6:30 p.m. at Tom's Watch Bar. If you reach out to me on Twitter or other types of things, I will get you a VIP entrance into that. We're helping sponsor that. So that is Wednesday, the 28th
Rhino is
at 6:30. Yeah, we're sponsoring. You see
nice.
our
What
logos
event?
even on the webpage. Bufficorn's Dreamland. John's sponsor or Artifact sponsoring as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so we'll be there that Wednesday night. I'll have some Rhino merch if you find me, and some Game and Node stuff, and no shirts because
Hey, remember that
we're
time?
inability to make a fucking decision on anything.
Do you remember that time when I carried a whole rucksack of shirts across
do.
Europe to go to that
I do.
conference? And then I was so tired, I kept forgetting to take them to the conference floor. And then I carried all but 3 of them all the way back across Europe.
Exactly.
On the train as well. So 1 rucksack on my back, 1 rucksack on my front, like a fucking idiot. That was good.
So that'll be
Fair
fun.
enough.
Wednesday night. We're gonna do some. It'll be cool. The place is gonna be nice. There's food there. There's a bunch of shit going on, so it'll be.
Go to Rhino's party.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Rhino's
That's
party.
Wednesday night. We're going to the Cosmos thing on Tuesday, which I can't remember what the hell that is. Bear chain thing going on. There's a few other things that we'll be going to. Hopefully I can actually make it in actually ETH Denver this year, since last year I never even walked in the door. So we'll see. No, we're gonna miss you.
Fucking
Hey,
I'll be
we'll be there. We'll be there in Austin.
Aston.
I would say that there is a 20%.
I'm going to the Alamo.
consensus.
The Alamo. At Aston.
The Alamo.
Artifact is taking me to the Alamo.
Austin.
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 The Alamo
Yeah,
at
so-
Austin.
Yeah, so reach out to me, Rhino Steak, on Twitter. That would be cool. Or if you're on a Discord with us, just ping me and we'll get you in there. on
Hey,
that
so
Wednesday thing.
seeing as though then it's almost a year since the last rendezvous at ETH Denver, someone asked me to send a Wagtager sticker just after that. It's almost the 1 year anniversary, so
Should we send it?
I will send that sticker shortly. Bensky. I haven't forgotten about you, bud. I've just been busy.
Who asked for the sticker?
Bensky of the Netherlands. So
Oh.
if you're still around, Bensky, it's coming
Is
your way.
it a to-do note that's sitting on the side of your monitor over there? Just send Wag TJ sticker.
We were in the Netherlands like 6 months ago.
It is a post-it on the side of my monitor, yes.
That's hilarious.
It's fallen off a couple of times. It's received additional tape. But
Stick it back on there.
nonetheless, it is still on the to-do list.
That's too funny.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I am disappointed that I'm not going to be there. But it is a fucking long way to go just to hang out. So
I mean, we have honestly, Austin, I think it'll be as big or larger. I think it's a bigger show. I think we'll have a ton of fun down there. So I think that'll be a good time.
I get insane anxiety when I'm on that fucking plane for 17 hours away from my nodes too. So
My nodes,
my precious.
I thought you were going
nodes.
to say something nice then, like
my nodes.
my family or something.
I know, right? I totally thought you were going to say something else.
My nodes is my family, man.